Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a lost art. Honestly, it's something ancient and absolutely essential, but it's pretty much vanished from our modern lives. We're going to explore the profound power of chosen silence. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Silence sounds pretty easy, right? But as you'll see, encountering your actual life in the quiet is actually one of the most challenging and ultimately rewarding things you can ever do. Let's get right into it. Most people are afraid of being alone. Just let that sink in for a second. We fill up our days with a constant stream of notifications, background noise, endless scrolling, and back-to-back meetings. But when that noise finally stops, well, a very quiet, very real panic tends to set in for the vast majority of us. So I've got to ask you directly, are you? Think about it. When the TV is off, when your phone is in another room and there's nobody else around, do you feel that sudden, nagging urge to just fill the void? If you do, don't worry, you are completely normal. But we really need to understand exactly what it is we're running from here. Section 1. Alone versus lonely. Okay, let's clear something up right out of the gate, because we really need to contrast these two concepts. Loneliness is that painful state of unwanted isolation. It's a feeling of lack. But aloneness, which is exactly what the ancient philosophers were after, is true, chosen, deliberate solitude. It's the experience of just being with yourself without any distractions, without performing for anyone, and without the constant buzz of other people around you. In genuine aloneness, there's literally nowhere to hide. You don't have that busyness to drown out your own thoughts. It's just you and whatever is actually in your head. Moving on to Section 2, the root of our problems. Now, what's really fascinating about this is what happened in the 17th century. There was this philosopher and mathematician named Blaise Pascal. This is the very same guy who helped invent the mechanical calculator and the roulette wheel, by the way. Anyway, he perfectly diagnosed our 21st century addiction to busyness. He wrote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Think about that. All of them. Not just some, not a few, all. Pascal saw that our inability to simply sit and face ourselves in silence was basically the engine driving our most destructive behaviors. Let's really break down what he was warning us about here. The wars we start, the addictions we develop just to numb ourselves, the relationships we end up destroying because of our own unresolved baggage, or how about the careers we literally sacrifice our lives for, just to chase some status we don't even really care about? Not to mention the endless, exhausting noise we just constantly surround ourselves with. Pascal's point was that all of these chaotic external actions are, at their core, just desperate escape attempts. We are terrified to discover what's waiting for us on the other side of that quiet.
Section 3, the demon of noonday.
You see, facing that quiet isn't some peaceful retreat. It is an intense inner battle. Actually, way back in the 4th century, these Egyptian Christian monks, known as the Desert Fathers, had a very specific term for this struggle. They called it the demon of the noonday. Now, obviously, this isn't some literal monster breathing fire. The demon here is that fierce, crushing restlessness. It's that intense boredom that strikes right in the middle of the day. You know, the hottest, emptiest hour. Just whispering in your ear that you're missing out, that you should be doing something productive, or that something incredibly important is happening somewhere else without you. But you know what their solution was to this intense FOMO? It was incredibly simple, even if it's grueling to actually pull off. Just stay. That's it. Don't leave the room. Don't grab a distraction to fill the space. Whatever you do, don't negotiate with the restlessness. These monks figured out over centuries that if you just stay put and endure that massive discomfort, something inside you kind of shifts. The restlessness eventually breaks. And what you're left with is this unparalleled clarity and presence that you absolutely cannot find anywhere else. Section 4. The unperforming self.
So let's see how this builds. What actually happens when we push through that restlessness? Well, we hit on the truth captured by the French philosopher Montaigne. This guy famously locked himself in a tower for 20 years with just his books. He even painted quotes on his ceiling to look at while he was alone. He said, "The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself." You see, whenever we're around other people, we're basically always performing. We're constantly calibrating, tweaking our words, and presenting a specific version of ourselves, tailored to whoever happens to be watching us. But when you are in extended solitude, that social performance just runs out of gas and stops.
We can see this idea beautifully illustrated in the Japanese practice of misogi. In its more modern form, just going out into nature, completely alone, acts as this powerful purification. You bring no phone, no friends, no schedule. Doing this actively releases the heavy, accumulated weight of everyone else's expectations. You naturally start dropping the roles you've been playing at work or even at home. You finally let go of all those exhausting, carefully maintained versions of yourself. And slowly but surely, your actual, original self, completely unobserved and unperforming, is allowed to just bubble up to the surface.
And this perfectly ties into a concept from the philosopher Hannah Arendt. She talked a lot about the life of the mind. Her big argument was that genuine thinking isn't just taking in information or, Googling the right answer. Genuine thinking is an inner dialogue. It's a real back and forth conversation between you and yourself where you wrestle with the really difficult questions. And here's the kicker. You cannot have that deep conversation when someone else is talking to you or when you've got a podcast blasting in your headphones. It strictly requires the uncomfortable silence of solitude.
That brings us to why the ancient Stoic Seneca gave this brilliant piece of advice to a friend. Recede in te ipse. Withdraw into yourself. He wasn't suggesting a one-time vacation. He meant this as a daily practice, even if it's just for an hour. Because if you never spend time alone, you're never going to truly know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, well, you are completely at the mercy of every single external opinion, every passing internet trend, and every little distraction that comes your way. Section 5, Encountering Your Actual Life. Now, I want to be totally straight with you right now. Actually, sitting in silence is not going to be pleasant at first. It just isn't. Feeling restless doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. That restlessness literally is the practice. So let's map out what this inward journey usually looks like. Right around minute 1, your mind reaches outward. You want your normal habits, your to-do list, your phone. It feels like a physical itch. But stick with it to minute 15 when those crutches aren't there and your mind reaches inward. This is when all those memories, worries, and unfinished business you've been dodging start to crash the party. By minute 30, the completely unexamined contents of your actual life are rising to the top. And listen, these aren't annoying intrusions. This is the actual baggage you carry around with you every single day into every conversation. If you can manage to stay in that chair until minute 60, that baggage can finally, slowly, and imperfectly be seen, understood, and integrated. Section 6, the 30-minute invitation. Okay, so what are we actually going to do with all this ancient wisdom? Well, here is your direct challenge for today. The rules are strict, but they're incredibly minimalist. Step 1, find 30 minutes. Step 2, put your phone in another room. Not in your pocket, not face down on the table, literally in another room. Step 3, sit somewhere simple. And step 4, do absolutely nothing. Just to be crystal clear, this is not meditation where you're tracking your breath, it's not journaling, it's definitely not some productive reflection session to plan your week. You just sit there. Let whatever comes, come. Let whatever passes, pass. Just endure the restlessness. Because I promise you, on the other side of that quiet, waiting for you is the most important meeting you will ever have. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on right now. Are you ready to finally meet the one person you've been way too busy to spend time with?